We are monitoring what's happening in the space of AI, as in augmented intelligence. This is the aim, but most importantly, this is the crunch. Welcome to the aim and welcome to the weekly crunch, or should I say fortnightly crunch? I'm not too sure. I'm still debating about the right frequency for this podcast. Obviously, I want to be in the news and what's happening, but at the same time, as I said, I want to take a step back, right, with you on all these important questions surrounding artificial intelligence and augmented intelligence. So it's a bit of a fine line to draw, right? It's been, anyways, a couple of weeks since the first episode of The Crunch, and I thought I would take the opportunity today on the weekend, whilst I'm in a lovely patch of nature here in Haute-Provence, in my mountains, really. That's where I was born, right? So really happy to be here and kind of regenerate close to nature and still plugged into technology, obviously, right? I've got this wonderful camera in front of me, just to share some ideas with you about what I've seen and what I've spotted this week that has been teasing my brain and that I want to put to discussion with you, readers and visualizers, right, behind this podcast. A number of things this week, but I want to first bounce on the topic of the last episode of the AIM, number 3, which was dedicated to AI for good, right? We spoke about AI for good and how AI can have a material and decisive impact on global problems, right? And that was in the context of AI for good, as in the movement started in Geneva by United Nations this month, June, in Geneva. Fortunately, the news is ripe not only with technological announcements and fancy, magical, mind-blowing demos of new technologies. No, it's also coming with real-life discoveries, achievements, breakthroughs that have been made possible by AI. Right, and in the space, in various fields really, but in the space of technology. So let's start with some exciting news and examples of AI driving technological innovation, right? First up, we have this remarkable UK startup and company called Material Nexus, right? And it seems to be revolutionizing the world of magnets, among any things. And magnets are a very specific market, right, which require a lot of technology and a lot of raw materials, very rare raw materials called rare earth, right? So it seems that this company, using AI, has managed to develop a new magnet called Magnex, right, that doesn't require any rare earth metals, right, which is a big deal these days, right, because rare earth metals, if you follow the news, are in huge demand by the electronic and digital economy, and it's at the source of a lot of tensions, geopolitical tensions as well, right? In the world, I think China is at the head of the largest reserves in the world, right? Maybe something like 80% of the reserves of rare earth materials are controlled by China, right? So these materials are crucial, right, to many technologies, and at the same time, they pose a serious problem and a serious questioning about the environment and the impact they have, the harmful impact they can have on the environment, because the technologies used to extract them are extremely toxic and difficult, right? So the AI platform used by Materials Nexus analyzed over 100 million compositions, right, in a record time, something that could never be achieved by traditional means and technologies, not mentioning even just the human brain or traditional computing, right? So with AI, they've been accelerating a process that typically would have taken several years, maybe even several decades, right? And the result is that now they've managed to design a magnet that's not only more environmentally friendly, but also more cost-effective, right? So, which really could be a real game changer for a lot of industries, like electrical vehicles and renewable energy. So I think that's worth mentioning and giving a big clap, right? In the same vein of AI for good, but in a different space this time, right? If we're moving to another impressive achievement we have with a company called Leap 71. And this company is Dubai-based, right? It's an AI engineering firm. And they have used a specific model, AI model, called Neuron, N-O-Y-R-O-N, to design a rocket, right? A rocket, or more exactly, a rocket engine, right? And that's okay. A lot of companies are doing that, designing rocket engines, every day. But the feat here is that they did that in only 2 weeks, right? Which is normally a task that takes years, right? Or several months to the list and years. But here, in that case, they've been using the AI engine to do a 3D printed prototype of their rocket engine. And guess what? It was successfully testified from the get-go, right? So that's I think that's really interesting to see AI having such an impact in the space of innovation, right? So for that particular rocket engine, what happened is that they used AI to modelize better fuel mixing, right, in the process, right? So, and of course, they have achieved with AI things which would have taken hours of compute, and of course a lot of human thinking and imagination to imagine all the possible test cases, right? So the fact that they managed to do that with this model in 2 weeks and resolve problems like cooling, the cooling channels resistance and the entire 3D processing, really, this to me really highlights the potential that AI can help tackling in the space of engineering, right? It can come up with novel designs very quickly, but of course, we still need to anchor that in the real world, and we're not talking about virtual design. It needs then to be successfully stress tested in the real world. So here you go, 2 examples of AI for good, I would say. AI solving good problems, saving a lot of energy, a lot of material, a lot of impact on the environment by speeding up engineering and the exploration of different configurations in record time. Okay, so that's for AI for good, I would say. And I'm not saying that what's following is not going to be good, but it's different. And the second area I'd like to talk about is the impact of AI on media, on the media industry in general. And surely the most remarkable achievement we've spotted over the past few days has been this baffling advertising from Toys R Us, right? So shifting gears in that space of media, where Toys R Us has really made waves by debuting what we call an AI-generated film, as in fully generated by AI, right? To the point that it's been presented to the Cannes Lions Festival, and it's been awarded, right? I need to check which sort of award it got, but probably a good one, right? So to do that, to achieve this kind of movie, and the link will be in the comments of this podcast, and it's getting really hard to distinguish these images from reality. One would believe it's everything you see in this movie is real or has been assisted by traditional computer graphics. Okay, but no, in that case, the Toys R Us had the luck, contrary to us, general public, to be able to use Sora from OpenAI, right? As an early adopters of Sora, and they've created this, I think, 66-second promo. Featuring the company's founder, Toys R Us founder, and with his mascot, right? Back in the days, so from childhood, it's quite nice. I mean, it's an ad, right? But it's really well executed in terms of scripting and execution. And it's really the first major brand that showcases to this point the potential of AI in video production, right? For advertising for now, but you can only imagine what's going to happen for Hollywood type productions very soon, right? So that's really amazing. But the reactions have been mixed, right, about it. So that's interesting to look. You look at the press reviews and all that. Some people have been finding it really fascinating, and other people have been saying that it's creepy for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, what's creepy is that AI is able to achieve things that appear to us previously so tedious. That could be creepy, but other than that, I fail to see the creepy side of it. I mean, it's truly fascinating just to look at the quality it's been producing, right? So similarly, if we continue in the media industry, something which has been also subject to a lot of discussion and debate on the social network has been the fact that YouTube has been approaching record labels, right, and try to convince them to license all their catalogs, right, to become a training material for a new AI song generator, right? So as you can imagine, that's lifting a lot of eyebrows, right, in the industry, and not the less, of course, from artists themselves, right, which legitimately so are saying, yeah, maybe we have something to say about that, right, because it's not the label, right, it's about our art or music or audio content that we're talking about, right? So this comes really as at the moment where music labels are precisely suing some AI companies and other AI song generators like Suno or Udio, right, for copyright infringement. So one would argue that YouTube taking the other stance and taking the stance of asking before the permission and consent it comes from a good place, right? But do they really expect that someone is going to say yes? I mean, maybe some labels are going to say yes, but I wonder what's going to happen with all the artists behind, right? Because then you can imagine that this new song generating engine from YouTube, not a small player, right? We're talking about YouTube, the second search engine in the world. That's going to become as a serious competition, right, to human artists, right? So it's really a very complex issue that we are talking about here, and that is highlighting the ongoing tensions between AI innovation and on the one hand, which still needs to go, and of course the need to make sure that we keep protecting IP, intellectual property, and the artists' rights, right? So watch this space. It's only the beginning, obviously, of this type of discussion. Okay, let's get a little bit more technical. I've been really interested also this week in something that I've spotted from a company called Lamini or Lamini. We'll need to find out how it's spelled. But Lamini, I will say, which stands probably for small llama, I would imagine, Lamini, is another startup from California which has taken the mission to try to reduce hallucinations in LLMs, right? And as we know, it's a big problem. Because, of course, LLMs, large language models, are dreaming machines. Hallucinating is what they do as a job, right? Day in, day out, right? Based on prompts. They're producing the most likely thing that sometimes can go astray and be a dream, right? And a complete hallucination. So Lamini has been going through beyond the traditional steps, which the first step that a company or an individual would take to mitigate hallucination would be prompt engineering, right? So with careful crafting of your prompt, setting the occupation, the context, eventually iterating several times on your prompt and the response you get from the model, you manage to reduce hallucination, and by challenging the model, it's going to autocorrect itself eventually and give the right answer, right? But that's very blatant when you are asking for some dates. Sometimes you don't check your history lessons with a vanilla LLM, right? You'll be really surprised you stepped into a parallel universe, okay? So that's step one, usually prompt engineering, and you can achieve probably 25% reduction of your hallucinations with that, but still a lot. So the second step you can take at home or at work, more likely, for use of large language models for complex problems in the workplace environment, you can sort of not train, but provide a RAG, retrieval augmented generation form of training for your LLM, right? So, and to do that, you would do embeddings based on content you have handy, which is very factual, which contains the facts, the numbers, the information in the form of PDF documents, Word, you name it, different formats. And you chunk that, and you put that in a vector database, and you give that as an external reference to the LLM to check its response against, right? So when you have a whole corpus of knowledge in a space, right, you can tell the LLM, yeah, okay, this is your prompt, give me an answer, but then check the fact base, right, and the documentation base, and then iterate again, and then give me an answer. So by doing that, you can reduce 50%, of the hallucination you would get from a vanilla model, right? And that's not counting also more advanced techniques like fine-tuning, which are more cost and resource intensive, right? But that's it, right? You still have a fairly high level of hallucination, right? So here comes Lamini. And Lamini seems to have developed a new technique, which they call the memory tuning, right? That they claim can reduce hallucinations by 95%, right? 95, which is quite impressive, right? So, and there's a couple of papers and there are some demos. It's early days for this startup, check it out. But they say that it's really efficient and it's a new approach to do, embeddings based on specific data that you insert in the models, more efficiently without compromising their more general knowledge, right? So, which is important also because sometimes, with fine tuning or RAG, or the drawback and the shortcoming is that, you kind of suppress what the model has been trained for in the first place, and you kind of suppress the relevance, right? So Lamini claims that's not the case with this approach, memory tuning, right? And if really this is effective, this could be a significant step forward in making AI outputs more reliable, right? So I'm really looking forward to seeing and to trying Lamini in the next few days and weeks, okay? Another topic which has really teased my brain this week is still in the space of reliability is this recent study, right, from the University of California, so the Department of San Diego for Cognitive Sciences, I think. They've been carrying out a study about how well can people distinguish between AI, right, what's given you back by a LLM typically, as an answer to a prompt versus a normal human conversation, right? Or normal human partners in the debate, right? And the results are pretty eye-opening, right? So in the sense that you can see that GPT-4 was mistaken for a human 50% of the time, more give or take, right? Which is better than chance, really. So that's really showing how AI came a long way from the first generation, so-called expert systems and chatbots, right? So participants usually rely on non-verbal cues or language styles, but emotional cues and knowledge-based questions, right? A little bit like in Blade Runner. They train knowledge-based questions to try to identify AI, right? And to try to see if it's an AI versus a human, right? But they weren't very successful, right, with ChatGPT, which is quite interesting. Kudos to OpenAI. And we know they are still up there, right, in terms of leading the charge of what is the next step for these generative models, right? So as AI continues to evolve, this ability to mimic humans and human conversations raises interesting questions about the future of human AI interaction, right? So watch this space. There will be a day, no doubt, where we will have these assistants on our devices, on our home speakers, where conversation will be very natural, and you would really think you were talking to a friend at the end of the day. And I think it's probably not that far, right? Even if it's not AGI yet, but this sort of empathy and this ability to relate in a conversation and to keep the memory of the previous conversations and refer it and re-inject it into the present, it's game changer in terms of being able to create a rapport, right, and a relationship between humans and agents. Okay, interesting. Check it out. Lastly, what I want to mention for this week is Apple. I like to always have a little bit on Apple, keep an apple for the end, so to speak. One last thing, used to say Steve Jobs. Well, there you go. One last thing with Apple. We know that Apple is finally stepping into the field of artificial intelligence and with what they call Apple Intelligence. That's the AI for Apple Intelligence. And they've started with their own models and GPT, ChatGPT. right? Saying that it's the first technology they are going to allow to plug into an iPhone or a Mac, right? A lot of people have been peeved and frustrated with that, but don't worry, right? Apple is on the move. Is talking about big moves again in this tech industry. Reportedly, they are in talks with several AI companies, right? Including all of them, all the majors, right? Meta, you name them, Google, Anthropic, right? And I'm quite pleased, to be honest. Because that means that they are walking the talk, and they want to integrate all the models potentially into Apple's ecosystem, which is great. That's what I've always wanted. I want to be able to choose, and choice means choices, right? You need several options, not just ChatGPT. But if I can have Gemini, Llama 3, and of course Claude, my favorite, Claude 3, in the mix, yeah, that's absolutely great. And I can imagine also that I would be able to define use cases where I use this model rather than this one, or these two models in conjunctions to get the best outcomes for specific use cases, right? So that's great. Looking forward to that and to see official announcement of these models being made available in iPhone AI systems. I think that's their strategy, right? They want to incorporate AI technology from various sources agnostically, but while still emphasizing on privacy. This is really the angle I like in Apple's strategy, which is privacy, guaranteeing privacy for the end user, and making sure that these models will come to deliver an outcome on device, right? And making sure that your personal and sensitive data is still under control, right? So I think that's great. I like this. That puts back Apple again, owning the hardware and the device, as a distribution channel, right? The financials are not clear. We know that ChatGPT is offered for free, which is really amazing, right? Even if I'm still waiting to get it on my phone, but that's the promise. So hopefully it will be the same for all the models. That means big deals behind the scenes, big multi-million, multi-billion potentially deals between all these companies. But that's great, right? And Apple wants all the AI. Can't blame them. I'm the same. I want that too, right? So good on them. I think it's great, right? So that's all for this episode of The Aim and of The Crunch, right? As always, I'll be keeping a close eye on these developments of AI and bringing you the latest in AI news soon, right? So, but until next time, stay curious and stay informed.